Welcome back. I'm N.S. Lavanya, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KCS Kasinadar College of Arts and Science. Let's look at the summary of Mill on the Floss. Mill on the Floss is a novel by Mary Ann Evans, George Eliot, first published in 3 volumes in 1860 by William Blackwood. The first American edition was published by Harper and Brothers, Publishers, New York. Spanning a period of 10 to 15 years, the novel details the lives of Tom and Maggie Tulliver, siblings who grow up at Dorlocht Mill on the River Floss. The mill is situated at the junction of the River Floss and the more minor River Ripple near the village of St. Ogg's in Lincolnshire, England. Both the river and the village are fictional. The novel begins in the late 1820s or early 1830s. Several historical references place the events in the book after the Napoleonic Wars but before the Reform Act of 1832. In Chapter 3, the character Mr. Riley is described as an auctioneer and appraiser 30 years ago, placing the opening events of the novel in approximately 1829, 30 years before the novel composition in 1859. In Chapter 8, Mr. Tulliver and Mr. Dean discuss the Duke of Wellington and his conduct in the Catholic question, a conversation that could only take place after 1828 when Wellington became Prime Minister and supported a bill for Catholic emancipation. The novel includes many autobiographical elements and reflects the disgrace that George Eliot experienced while in a lengthy relationship with a married man, George. Maggie Tulliver is the protagonist and the story begins when she is 9 years old, 13 years into her parents' marriage. Her relationship with her older brother, Tom, and her romantic relationships with Philip Wickham, a hunchbacked, sensitive and intellectual friend, and with Stephen Guest, a vivacious young socialite in St. Ogg's, an assumed fiancé of Maggie's cousin Lucy, constitute the most significant narrative threads. Tom and Maggie have a close yet complex bond which continues throughout the novel. Their relationship is colored by Maggie's desire to recapture the unconditional love of her father before his death. Tom's pragmatic and reserved nature clashes with Maggie's idealism and fervor for intellectual gains and experience. Various family crises, including bankruptcy, Mr. Tulliver's rancorous relationship with Philip, which results in the loss of the mill, and Mr. Tulliver's untimely death, intensify Tom's and Maggie's differences and highlight their love for each other. To help his father repay his debts, Tom leaves school to enter a life of the business. He eventually finds a measure of success, restoring the family's former estate. Maggie languishes in the impoverished Tulliver home, her intellectual aptitude wasted in her socially isolated state. She passes through a period of tough spirituality during which she renounces the world, motivated by reading of Thomas' Imitation of Christ. This renunciation is tested by a renewed friendship with Philip, with whom she had developed a friendship while he and Tom were students. Against the wishes of Tom and father, who both despise the Wickhams, Maggie secretly meets with Philip and they go for long walks through the woods. The relationship they forge is founded partly in Maggie's heartfelt pity for broken and neglected human beings, but it also serves as an outlet for her intellectual romantic desires. Philip's and Maggie's attraction is in any case inconsequential because of the family antipathy. Philip manages to coax a pledge of love from Maggie. When Tom discovers the relationship between the two, he forces his sister to renounce Philip and with him her hopes of experiencing the broader, more cultured world he represents. Several years pass, during which Mr. Tulliver dies. Lucy Diane invites Maggie to come and stay with her and experience the life of cultured leisure that she enjoys. This includes long hours conversing and playing music with Lucy's suitor, Stephen Guest, a prominent St. Aug's resident. Stephen and Maggie, against their rational judgments, become attracted to each other. The complication is compounded by Philip Wakeham's friendship with Lucy and Stephen. He and Maggie are reintroduced and Philip's love for her is rekindled, while Maggie, no longer isolated, enjoys the clandestine attention of Stephen Guest, putting a past profession of love for Philip in question. Lucy intrigues to throw Philip and Maggie together on a short rowing trip down the Floss, but Stephen unwittingly takes a sick Philip's place. When Maggie and Stephen find themselves floating down the river, negligent of the distance they have covered, he proposes that they board a passing boat to the next substantial city, Mudport, and get married. Maggie is too tired to argue about it. Stephen takes advantage of her weariness and hails the boat. They are taken on board, and during the trip to Mudport, Maggie struggles between her love for Stephen and her duties to Philip and Lucy, which were established when she was poor, isolated, and dependent on them, for what good her life contained. Upon arrival in Mudport, she rejects Stephen and makes her way back to St. Aug's, where she lives for a brief period as an outcast. Stephen, having fled to Holland, although she immediately goes to Tom for forgiveness and shelter, he roughly sends her away, telling her that she will never again be welcome under his roof. Lucy and Philip forgive her in a moving reunion and in an eloquent letter respectively. Maggie's brief exile ends when the river floods. Having struggled through the waters in a boat to find Tom at the old mill, she sets out with him to rescue Lucy Diane and her family. In a brief, tender moment, the brother and sister are reconciled from all past differences. When their boat capsizes, the two drown in an embrace, thus giving the book its biblical epigraph, "In their death they were not divided." Thus, the end of the summary. Thanks for watching. We meet again in the next video with another interesting topic.